All right, let's talk about one of the most famous plays ever, Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. We're going to look past the whole balcony scene and really crack open the powerful forces that make this story a timeless tragedy. So, when you hear Romeo and Juliet, your brain probably goes straight to this, right? The ultimate story of love at first sight. A couple of teenagers, totally head over heels. But is that really the whole story? Well, here's our take. Their love story is actually just the spark that ignites this massive, devastating collision of four huge forces. And if you can get a handle on these, you'll understand the play on a whole new level. Okay, let's dive right in with the first and, most famous one. Love. But even this isn't as simple as it looks. See, in Verona, the world of this play, marriage is basically a business transaction. It's all about climbing the social ladder, getting more power, more wealth. So when Romeo and Juliet fall in love for real, they're not just being romantic, they're staging a full-on rebellion against their entire society. Their love is a truly radical act. And what's amazing here is how mature Juliet is. Romeo's all caught up in these grand, poetic speeches, but she's the one who hits the brakes. She tells him, hey, don't swear by the moon. It's always changing. She wants something real, something constant, not just some fleeting crush. She's basically inventing a new kind of love right on the spot. But here's the crucial twist. In a city like Verona, a love this intense can't just exist on its own. It's born into a world that is absolutely drenched in violence. The passion of their love is basically a mirror image of the passionate hatred of their families. The two are completely tangled together. So listen up. If you're writing an essay on this, here's the pro tip. You have to go way beyond just saying they were in love. A great answer will contrast their real, genuine love with, say, Romeo's kind of shallow crush on Rosalind, or how Paris just sees Juliet as a prize to be won. You've got to show how their love is the engine that drives the whole plot and cranks up the tension. And that brings us perfectly to our second force, the thing that really sets the stage for everything else: conflict. Now, we're not just talking about a few street fights. Shakespeare tells us right from the get-go that this is an ancient grudge. It's so old, it seems like no one even remembers why it started. It's just become the very air the city breathes, a poison that infects absolutely everyone. And if you want one character who perfectly captures this, it's Tybalt. Right in the first scene, Benvolio is trying to keep the peace, and Tybalt's reaction is just pure, unfiltered hate. He doesn't need a reason. For him, hating Montagues is a core part of his identity. He's the feud made flesh. And Shakespeare does this brilliant thing here. He uses Tybalt as a foil for Romeo. That's just a fancy writer's term for a character who's the total opposite of another to make their qualities pop. Tybalt is aggressive and all about honor, which makes Romeo's initial desire for peace and love shine so much brighter. Okay, another pro tip for your analysis. Tybalt is your key. You want to show how his personal grudge against Romeo isn't just his own deal. It's a symptom of the whole city's disease. Every scene just crackles with tension because we know that this simmering hatred could explode into violence at any second. And that leads us straight into our third force, the unwritten rulebook that makes this whole conflict impossible to escape: the code of honor. So what even is honor in this play? Well, think of it as a really toxic cocktail of family pride and public reputation, or street cred. For the guys in Verona, their whole identity is wrapped up in their family name. Any insult, no matter how tiny, has to be met with violence, otherwise they lose face. This code literally forces their hands. I mean, Mercio fights Tybalt because Romeo won't, calling Romeo's peacefulness vile submission. Then Romeo has to kill Tybalt to get his honor back. It's a deadly cycle. And here she is again. Juliet, just cutting right through all the nonsense with one of the most famous lines ever. She's basically asking, why? Why does a name, just a word, get to decide who you are and who you're allowed to love? She sees that this whole code, this obsession with being a Montague or a Capulet, is totally meaningless. But even with all this love, conflict, and honor swirling around, there's one last invisible force hanging over every single scene: fate. Now, to really get this, you gotta put yourself in the shoes of Shakespeare's audience. For them, astrology wasn't just a fun column in a magazine. It was basically science. The idea that your life was already mapped out by the stars, that you were predestined, was a really powerful belief. You didn't have total free will. And Shakespeare tells us this from the jump. I mean, before we even meet Romeo or Juliet, the chorus comes out and says they are star-crossed lovers, doomed by destiny. He literally spoils the ending for us so that we watch the entire play knowing it's all going to end in tragedy. We're not watching to see if it happens, but how it's all going to go down. And you can just see fate at work right here. It's not one big thing. It's this cascade of awful luck and terrible timing. The wedding gets moved up, squeezing their timeline. A plague outbreak stops that crucial letter from ever reaching Romeo. The wrong news gets delivered, and the friar shows up just seconds too late. It feels like at every single turn, the universe is actively working against them. So, here's the big takeaway. You can't just blame one thing. What you have is their passionate, rebellious love slamming head-on into a society built on conflict and honor, all while the invisible hand of fate is pushing them towards that tragic ending. It's the perfect, devastating storm. Which leaves us with the big, ultimate question, the one you should really wrestle with. Was their fate sealed from the beginning, written in the stars, or did their own impulsive choices, getting secretly married, Romeo killing Tybalt, actually cause their own downfall? Were they just helpless victims, or did they help build their own tragedy? That right there is what makes this play a masterpiece. Think about it.